this can look like depression. This can look like anxiety. This can look like a mental breakdown. This can look like an eating disorder. This can look like a heightened emotional state, which is some part of you trying to, typically your most authentic self, trying to express that however you are showing up day in and day out wasn't the original agreement.
Hello, hello. Hi, Vibin' It homies. Welcome back to another epic episode of Hi, Vibin' It. We are here with a new friend. She's a teacher, she's a coach, she's an author of the amazing book, Nothing Can Stop You, which I've already dove into a little bit. It's amazing. It offers readers a plan to wake up to the many possibilities that life represents and offers the steps to find them. So it's very spiritual, but also very practical, which I love. She's also the host of the Wise Woman podcast. So another podcast host on here to bring some wisdom to you guys today. And yeah, we just can't say enough good things about her so far, even though we've only known her for a few minutes. So yeah, welcome to the show, Erin. Thanks for being here.
And thanks for having me. It's so fun.
We're very excited to dive into all these topics in the book and just learn more about you as a person. So let's start there. How did you get into this space? What kind of led you on this path to self-improvement and self-discovery? And all the things you do.
And what a path, right? I mean, I think at the core, so many of us are naturally curious and love to learn. And if you live a life where you love to learn, you're always going to be hungry. You're always going to be well fed. You're always going to be nourished. And wow, I was a spiritual child, like a deeply spiritual child. I think like so many of us, and it's not necessarily nurtured in our modern day school system, our modern day human experience. And I went to college, I went to undergrad, I was a sorority girl. And, during that time, it was like you dress business casual and you go to the bar and you binge drink. and that was just like the cycle, right? And I got a corporate job after undergrad, and every night and first thing in the morning, I would hear this whisper. And it was this deep communication that how I was living was not what we agreed to. It wasn't the agreement my soul had when it came to this earth this time around. And I say this often, but it's essential to be repeated. This can look like depression. This can look like anxiety. This can look like a mental breakdown. This can look like an eating disorder. This can look like a heightened emotional state, which is some part of you trying to, typically your most authentic self, trying to express that however you are showing up day in and day out wasn't the original agreement. Of course, that can shift over time, or you can ignore the whisper over time. However, I like to talk about the highest possible timeline, which is your most authentic, nourishing life. That's what my book, Nothing Can Stop You, a revolutionary guide to unleash your authentic self, is really about. And for me, that looked like booking a one-way plane ticket to Israel. And I learned to live off the land, and I studied with shaman in the Israeli desert, and I dated diverse people, and I learned how to spend significant amount of time alone, which at the time was necessary. I don't believe that right now. I think it's important, like we're a species that needs to be in partnership with others. We're supposed to be in a pack. We're supposed to be in a village. However, small moments where you are connecting to yourself and you are accounting of the soul, like you are really checking into who you are at your core, can be necessary on this stage of self-development. And then ultimately I moved to India and I worked in the slums of Mumbai, and I lived in silence. I accidentally joined a cult. I dated, I was very immersed in Indian culture, and I was dating a really sweet guy who was also a news anchor on a local station, like a sports station. I just bring that up because we were like in the Bollywood scene loosely. And that ultimately brought me back to the States, and I got my master's in clinical psychology and education at Columbia. But I continue traveling. So even like what we were talking about, you asked me where I live, and I'm completely nomadic right now. My daughter turned 1 the other day, and yeah, we are traveling right now. I'm in Chicago. When this episode goes live, I'll be in Mexico. We just signed a 3-month lease in Costa Rica. I have a retreat in Tuscany in May, so we're going to hang out in Europe for a lot of the summer. We love Austin. A lot of our life is in Austin. And something my husband John and I talk about is how our life exists in multiple places and it exists like full on. Like we have a full life going on in Tel Aviv, a full life in Austin, a full life in Chicago, a full life in Nosara, Costa Rica. So it's so fun to kind of bop around. And a big thing for me is eating like beautiful, amazing food and being excited about food because you have to eat 3 times a day. And everything I share with the world is rooted in Eastern ritual and Western psychology. And I'm constantly reading and listening and evolving and praying and manifesting. So I always drop in and share that with my community as well.
What a fun way to
Ooh.
live. Also, what advice do you have for people who are like, it's so hard to travel with a baby because you like literally live traveling with a newborn?
Yeah, my daughter's already flown like 20 something times. Breastfeeding, you just put the baby on the boob. It is the comfort, it is the nourishment. It actually has me thinking about how we like nurse ourselves into peace and how we nurse ourselves back to health. And for my daughter Eden, she's on the boob, she's instantly calm. I'm instantly calm. Serotonin and dopamine is being released in my body. I'm passing antibodies to her based on her saliva that I received in our last feeding. So I know intuitively her wellness. And then I think about how we try to nurse ourselves back to calm or comfort. And we scroll on social media, or we drink a glass of wine, or we are promiscuous, or we go shopping. And that's why I'm so passionate about teaching meditation and science of happiness, because there has to be healthier ways to nurse ourselves back to health. The first thing you do when you come into this world is you go to the nipple. So we are programmed to have this oral fixation, this like way to self-soothe, and we don't know how to replicate it in our modern day world because we're not going to just be nursing at like 30, 40 years old. I mean, it's not realistic. So what are we
I am not
using to
nursing my kid
pacify?
at 40 years old.
No.
No way. But I
What are
do
your
second that
practices?
100%.
Mhm.
All of the good plane rides I've ever had with my kids, well, when I was nursing, yes, is 100% effective every time. Of course, if you can't nurse or if you're not nursing, there's always pacifiers and like other things you can do, feed them, something else. But yes, 100%. It's never failed and it always works. Anytime they're scared or upset or can't sleep, put them on the boob. It works. It works, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for that one. Can I ask a question as a huge I don't know what the word is. I love to know that there is a place somewhere that I can go to like retreat to I guess go back into myself if I feel overstimulated. As someone who does travel a lot, especially with your family and what I would maybe assume close quarters a lot of the time with all this the plane rides and the, whatever. Is that something that you struggle with? Like, do you have a place having a full life in all these different places? Is there somewhere that you can go? I know what you're going to say already as I finish the sentence, but why don't you tell the people, like, what do you do to kind of retreat back into yourself and reconnect to that sacred space of like, this is my home?
Mm. The thing that I think is so important is I'm a different version of myself since becoming a mom. And that needing space, like I thrived in my own energy. However, my husband and I are deeply codependent on each other. I think healthy codependency I think it's important in a monogamous relationship. Um, since I became a mom, though, I crave closeness to my daughter. I'm calm in her presence. I crave closeness to my husband. I'm calm in his presence. Like we all kind of co regulate and heal each other. However, I will say, I used to have this devoted morning sadhana, a devoted morning sacred practice where I would practice up level meditation, which is a specific active meditation sequence that I educate on. It's specifically geared for people with ADD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, compulsive, sometimes negative thought patterns. But it's this idea of opening up your shoulders, opening up your hips, increasing your breath work, and inviting yourself to come back into a healthy headspace. And now instead, I do a gentle body scan or something of that nature, a silent seated practice while breastfeeding my daughter first thing in the morning. We go on a lot of walks wherever we are in the world, whether it's the beach or here in the Midwest, regardless of kind of the temperature outside. and a deep prayer practice. So always coming back to my connection to a higher power as I understand it, and being like pure in that connection or naked in that connection. Because I think when you go through motherhood or you go through our current political climate and our human experience, it's we are living during a time where that connection to a higher power, however you want to define it, your deceased relatives, Mother Nature, Mama Gaia, Hashem, like Jesus, Vishnu, Allah, like whatever you need it to be, call on that connection, because that's where the alignment lies. That's where like the fruit is. That's where the bliss is. So almost as if walking myself back to Eden, which is my daughter's name.
I was like, that's your daughter's name. That's cute. I like that. Okay. I kind of figured before I finished the question, you were going to be like, well, myself. Like, sure, that's how it should be. Of course it is. That's how it should be. You come back home to yourself and you regulate that way. Yeah, I don't know. I'll get there, I'm sure, eventually. I don't know, man. My house is full of dudes. I got a husband and 3 boys, and they're like, one of them's almost 13. So I need,
Oh my
I
God,
need
you're
space.
amazing. Yeah, so that's going to look different for every single person
It's
based on where
definitely
they
gonna
are.
work different.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I like that. And I like your answer because I know that there's so many people who maybe would like shove the idea of having a nomadic lifestyle away because they feel like they need XYZ. And I think the beauty of what you do is you're so eager to be like, but it can look like however you want it to. So what's really stopping you? Which I think is important.
The first 7 months of Eden's life, we were in our house in Austin. So it was very grounded as it can be with like a newborn. And I found that to be the most chaotic, crazy, insane time where we all lie to each other. And it's like, it's insane, right? I was so unwell. I'm like very open about that. I think it's so important to be like honest about postpartum for a first time mom. And then I remembered who I was. Like, I've been nomadic for almost like a large portion of my 20s. I love traveling. I also think um, there's like different hacks out there. So, like, if you're in the Midwest, you have to, especially right now, like getting out in nature, the leaves are changed or changing. You have to put your feet in the earth. If you're on the ocean, if you're anywhere near a coast, water is specifically programmed to be a portal. There's minerals within it that is going to just relax your nervous system in an instant. So when we're in Costa Rica and we're going into the ocean 3 times a day, you're having different thoughts. You're having different types of conversations. This is so true for my book. When I started, it's a 2.5 year process, but I wrote the book in 2.5 months. I went traditional publishing. It's a long process, which I respect because it's still the same as it was 100 years ago. And there's very few industries like that. So I have a lot of, I have a lot of respect for traditional publishing. And I wrote the book when my husband and I just moved to Austin. We were like bopping around. We were having different types of conversations, and those conversations were infused in the book. And then I got pregnant during that editing phase, and my second chakra was filled. The womb, the Svadhisthana chakra, so safe, so passion, desire, lust, the cradle of creativity, that good idea, that moment of inspiration. So it's edited with almost like a different version or genius or intelligence of myself infused in it. So honoring who you are in these different parts of the world. Of course, wherever you go, there you are. If you have anxiety, it's going to show up in different ways, no matter where you are, until you get to the root of it. I'm that's a lot of my pathway is like working with anxiety and welcoming it, not pushing it away. It's so common for all of us. Um, Being nomadic is not like my best girlfriend is misses her spice cabinet. Like, I travel with cumin. You get to decide how you work with it. But I will say we travel to places I already know. I know Costa Rica quite well. I used to bring all my clients there. I still do. I know Florence, Italy, and Tuscany quite well. It's my first time bringing clients there, though. I know we just got back from LA. I had a big speaking engagement in LA. I've half my family there. I know LA quite well. We lived there during COVID. Like certain things, like I'm not going to brand new places right now. I'm going to where my life kind of exists outside of Chicago and Austin.
Makes sense. I feel like this conversation psychically is like wanting to be about soothing and self-soothing, which I feel like is in your wheelhouse a lot. And I'm curious if we could start like heading that way as far as because I feel like there's different ways to soothe, right? There's like the self-soothing and then there's like the communal soothing. And you spoke of both. So maybe could we start with self and then go into like with other people some ways or ways to think of it or ways to do it in a time where I think a lot of people are getting very triggered and they're not feeling relaxed, they're not feeling soothed, they're not feeling regulated. Like, please help.
So, when it comes to relaxing the nervous system, the number one thing to do is to oxygenize the body. How do we oxygenize the body? We can move into a practice like the yogic breath, which is inhale through the nose, lower belly expands. Inhale through the nose, upper chest expands. Exhale through the mouth, let it go. Inhale deeply. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Let's do this one more time. Inhale through the nose, lower belly. Inhale through the nose, upper chest. Exhale through the mouth, let it go. If you're listening, you can keep this breathing pattern as you absorb the next segment. When you practice this breath, you are telling the body it is safe to relax, and it's quick, right? Because so many of us breathe just into our shoulders. When you breathe just into your shoulders, you're really only using about, I think the statistic is 40 to 60% of your lung capacity. So you're telling your brain it's not safe to exhale. You're also turning on the amygdala, the back center of the brain. It's a little almond shape. This is your flight, fright, or freeze. So this is allowing you to live in a state of panic. So you need to breathe into the depths of your lower belly and oxygenize, and also come back to your basic needs. So I would drink 1 to 2 full glasses of water with a little bit of lemon and a little bit of high quality salt. We need minerals, especially if you had a baby, like you're so depleted, you need minerals. I would encourage you to get outside and put your feet in the grass. We touch a tree, like touch some grass. I really like that phrase. It's so true. You have to come back to Mother Nature. I'm from Chicago. I get it. Like, even if there's 2 feet of snow on the ground, you have to get outside. It's not optional at this point. We are so disconnected. And then you said something about, like, I kind of brought up politics. Kelsey, you kind of brought up something about like our current how people are just like in a state of panic. I think it's so important that if you live in a city, you need to talk to people who live out of the city. If you live out of the city, you need to talk to people who live in a city. And that itself can kind of help you have conversations opposite your own conflict. And you cannot cancel your family members. I'm like very strong on that. I think in the spiritual world, we always talk about how, like, this was really big. I feel like when I was deep on my spiritual path, it was, pray for your friends and move on. Pray for your parents and move on. They don't need to understand you. You can kind of just cut them out of your life. And that was something that I have the same best friends from forever. They don't even know what I do for work. That's not our relationship. That's not how we connect. Maybe they'll come to me to talk about manifesting their highest soulmate, which has happened before and it has worked, thank God. And, they know when to call on me. However, it is so important to go out of your own way to call in like-minded relationships as well. What we know about the science of happiness is the PERMA model, which is brought to the world by Dr. Merton Seligman of University of Pennsylvania. And it's a very grounded, maybe somewhat masculine model, if you will, of increasing happiness. I say that because I think women know how to do this intuitively. But when I bring this into corporations, people are always like, oh, sometimes we just need to ground these things. You might see, both of you see this in your work as well. Manifestation can be feeling states and whimsical and intuitive. And also, if I tell you to do this very specific, very grounded practice every single day, you can eat it, right? It's tangible, it's digestible. So in the PERMA model, the R is relationships, and it means that you are going out of your way to have like-minded relationships. This is so important for me and all of us, right? To have relationships where you can say, like, your aura is your advertising. Like, my spiritual friends in Austin, who are all entrepreneurs, they get that. Or to talk about how we're going to go to a specific restaurant that has grass-fed meat and it's seed oil free. Like, I have certain friends that wouldn't give a fuck about that, and certain friends that's a non-negotiable. Of course, we are going to that restaurant. We already have reservations, and like, we show up and we know the waiter. Like, things like this that you have like honor where you came from. If somebody did perhaps vote opposite you, you do not excommunicate this person. You have a conversation. I'm very strong on that. Yeah, I think we learned in 2020 a lot about cancel culture. And it just, first of all, you have to believe in cancel culture to be canceled. And that's not how, like, you can't do that. I encourage you to not do that with your family members or the people close to you. So always having honest, open conversations. And the last thing I'll say on this topic is we, it's essential. And as, mothers, this commentary that love is conditional. Love is conditional if you vote for the same person I vote for. Love is conditional if you eat the same way that I eat. Love is conditional if you pray to the same God that I pray to. And that's a lesson that I don't want to teach my daughter. It's I love you because you are. I love you because you're a unique soul in this world. I love you because my soul chose you and your soul chose me.
Yeah. Wow. That's important that you said that right now, and timely because of the whole election thing. And I was seeing some crazy stuff. Like there was this trend on social media of these, I mean, granted, they're very young women, most of them, but they were like, yeah, like if our partner didn't vote the same way as us, we're leaving them. Like that means that they don't love me, they don't support me, blah, blah, all this stuff. And I was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like what happened to connecting to people's pure positive intentions? Because at the end of the day, most of us do want and value the same human core things, but we perceive the world in different ways. So we think like this route might be better, or this person might be better, this candidate might be better, right? Based on so many things, your programming, your beliefs, where you live, if you're in the city, if you're not in the city, if you're in a red state, if you're in a blue state, So I was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like what happened to meeting of minds, or like even trying to understand like why someone would vote differently from you? And that was like upsetting me, because I was just like, man, these young people out here are just like so quick to cancel even their like significant other, not even just a friend, not even like a parent that they don't live with anymore, like their person that they say they want to be with for the rest of their life. So I was just like, whoa, I've been in a state of shock.
It's quite shocking.
Yeah.
It's quite shocking. And it comes from so to come back to your original question, what can we do to kind of walk ourselves back home? What can we do to regulate the nervous system? And I do think it's important to ask ourselves bigger questions. I do think curiosity is incredibly healthy. Remember, curiosity is not always encouraged. It is sometimes synonymous to spirituality. Be curious, continue love of learning. You'll have like a juicy life for the rest of your life. And then so we can co-regulate. We can regulate ourselves through breath, through meditation, through connecting to nature, through honoring our basic needs. This is the first chakra, the Muladhara chakra, which sits at the base of the tailbone. And this is safety, security, comfort, food, shelter, your basic needs that must be met. And in our Western world, I would probably put under there like Wi-Fi, access to a phone, a way to communicate. Like these little things have kind of become big things and essential for us to feel safe. And also, this is Maslow's hierarchy. So Maslow came into this world to talk about our basic needs, our pyramid of needs. And this is the first chakra, is the base. So am I safe in my tribe to express myself authentically? And there's actually a really interesting study on this. Majority of people will choose belonging over authenticity. And right there is kind of the kicker, right? Because we are always going to choose belonging and connection because that's what's going to keep us safe if we're attacked by a pack of wolves at night, over our authentic self, our authentic expression. So then I do heavily encourage to go out of your own way to foster meaningful relationships with like-minded people. And you can do this. Like we live in a world where that's actually much easier, even though we think we're so separate. But join a conference, go on a retreat, join a program, like sign up for a yoga teacher training, sign up for like join a young Democrat or young Republican or whatever floats your boat, conference or meetup or something in that trajectory. But you have to go out of your own way to find people that kind of sing a similar song.
Yes. Amen to that. You got to have your people and then also the people that you already love. Curiosity helps. So you don't lose your mind and get triggered and feel like they're against you in moments like the election or whatever. But what else was I going to say? I was just going to go back to that real quick. When I was in my 20s, I learned that we can resource different people for different things. And that really set me free of like, I need this friend to be exactly the same as me on everything. I need my boyfriend to be my therapist and my cheerleader and someone who wants to go shopping with me. So I was like, okay, I have these friends for these things, right? I have these friends for these things. I have these connections help me to feel this way. These connections help me to feel this way. And now I feel like it's so easy for me to connect with such a diverse range of people, just straight to their heart. And I connect with them where I connect with them. And where I don't, I just like love them for that difference, you know? So it's like some people I connect with them on, like, for example, I had like some neighbors that I met in Columbus, Ohio that they weren't like super deep or super spiritual, but they were such fun girlies who just wanted to do like cute girly things. And I was like, girls, me too. Like, let's go to the pumpkin patch. Like, let's decorate these pumpkins. Like, let's be cutesy. Let's hang out by the pool, you know? And some would say, oh, it's such a surface level relationship. No, we were connecting on the girliest vibes and we just loved each other for that. And it was very simple and beautiful, right? So, not every friend has to be your most spiritual conspiracy theory friend who's like with you on every level. It's just like, I don't want to say using people in a bad way, but using them in a healthy way, like resourcing them in the way that they love to nourish you, like be nourished by that and find those connections there.
Well, and no one can wear all the hats for you. So I think that it's an understanding and it's an agreement that each person in your life that you pick can bring out a different, or rather, nurture a different side of you, just as you do for them as well. So it's a little bit of symbiosis. But I totally resonated with Erin when you said some of your best friends don't really know or understand what you do for a living. Same. Like from high school, like I moved back to Michigan after living in LA and learning all my spiritual things and came back here to raise my kids because it's so cute and quaint and like a small town, whatever. And yeah, I realized hanging out with my high school friends again, I was like, I love you so much. You don't have any idea what I do. You don't have any idea. Like, and I would never like want to dive into that with them because it's just such a different vibe. Like, I want to go eat out with them. I want to go talk about like, yeah, as Kelsey said, like girly things or like, you know, the things that I liked when I was younger. I love that we still talk about that stuff. And like, then I have Kelsey who completely gets my spiritual side and likes to dive deeper and things like that. But yeah, I think it's natural that you have different people in your life that will nurture those different facets of you and help you honor all of them with the community that you choose to have around you. It's very important. Otherwise, you're just talking to the same person over and over, which is so boring. And talking to that part of yourself over and over, which can also get a little boring.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think it's also essential to add when it comes to, like, let's say you're on the, like, you're listening to this and you're kind of on the path right now and you have these different pockets and also you're dating. And it changes a little bit when we're talking about calling in your highest romantic partner. And the way that I like to ground this, because it's you want both, right? You desire a romantic partner that can kind of hold the cutesy and the past version of you, which I like to call like the inner child, and also the person that you are becoming and will be, which is like the archetypal wise woman. So when it comes to dating and manifesting, calling in your highest romantic partner, it's the person that your inner child would feel safe with, and also your divine feminine, your archetypal wise woman, wants to continue exploring with. So it's kind of holding those both areas.
Great. Kelsey, are you grading Jeffrey right now? Because I'm grading my husband. I think he does. I think he does pretty well.
I'm just like celebrating him because I'm like, oh, it sounds like just like my Jeffrey. That's why I love him because
Here's
he
to
can,
our
like,
dude.
yeah, here's to our dudes. Cheers to you guys. You're awesome. But yeah, I think that's a great little additive at the end for the
That's a
relationship.
good measurement.
Yeah, because the romantic partnership, I think like I was saying when I was young, I felt like, oh, this friend has to be my everything, or my mom has to be my everything, or my partner, especially you fall into that trap of like, I want them to be my everything, right? If we can't do everything together and they don't get me on every single level, like you're out. And it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna ask my husband to come to the mall with me, probably because he doesn't really like it, and that's cool. I have girlfriends for that, you know. I'm not gonna like I don't know, ask him for certain things because I just know like that's not his thing. And I'm like, that's cool. You're a man, I'm a woman. We have a lot of differences, but yeah, I really like that you added that. So as far as soothing, safety, regulation, we've got breathing, we've got coming back to the basics, we've got relationships. Anything else that you feel like we haven't covered yet that's worth mentioning as like a bigger piece to the regulation puzzle?
If you are in a situation where you are choosing belonging over authenticity, that's okay. It's what we do. And go out of your own way to find groups where you are focusing on that authenticity, where you are expressing yourself authentically. And I do think we like are hard on social media all the time, but something that I found in my own space, that when I started sharing meaningful quotes or spiritual quotes that resonated with me, or recipes that I thought were delicious and wholesome and healthful and nourishing, or stories of my travels or my life, like the things that are written in my book, I paid attention to who was resonating with it. So just almost allowing yourself being seen on a social media platform, if that feels safe for you, and then seeing who resonates and who reaches out. Those were people early on in my spiritual development or on my spiritual path. Those were also the relationships that I nurtured, where I felt like I could show up and be my authentic self, or a way shower, a teacher, a guide, a friend. So that's another pathway that can be nourishing as well.
Just a little anecdote, or a little, is that the word? Not antidote, but anecdote, right? When I was younger, I think a lot of us go through this. I know I'm not the only one, where you feel like it's kind of unsafe to show what you really love, or something that's so close to your heart, because what if somebody shits all over it and then now it means something about you for some reason? It's a trap we fall into a lot in our youth. But I will say, as I get older, as I got older and really started betting on myself in a way that's like, I want to do this. I would be so sad if I didn't let myself open this door, or if I didn't explore all there was about this thing that I'm really passionate about. And by doing that, I kind of have to show up authentically and surprise everyone, this is me. But I do have to say, when it happens, when you allow yourself to do that, even if you just do what Erin said and start out just finding people that resonate with you, and it's okay, it's like a safe space to do that, it's a little addictive once you realize, oh, I'm not a weirdo. I'm actually someone that can help. I'm actually someone that can offer something to the world in a beautiful way. You kind of just want to do it more. And you kind of want to be a little more unapologetic about it. And so it's a really cool thing. And I don't know if it just synced up well with my age, or with my experiences, or both, or all, but it's something that I don't think, it's a work in progress always, but I don't think it's something I can ever go back on. And it's something that I just want to keep doing because it just feels good. And once you allow yourself to feel that for the first time, like, I dare you to not try to do it more, because it just feels really nice.
Lindsay,
So that's a little like advice, like, people, it's not scary every time. You will find a reason to do it and it will feel good, in my experience.
Yes, becoming the you-est version of you. It's kind of it's a great high, right? Or to be seen and valued for who you truly are at your core. It's kind of the
Yeah.
greatest high. So
Oh my
absolutely.
gosh, you like me for me? Cool. So great. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely exhausting to not be moving in that direction. And like, I'm learning this from experience. So for me, I've been a hairstylist for over a decade. That was like my chosen craft that I went into when I couldn't become a professional dancer. And alongside that, I've always been teaching what I'm learning, helping people online, writing books. And so I have like these two worlds, where in my spiritual world, I can be like as weird and as wild as free. And in my hair world, like, that is me. I'm an artist. I love working with my hands and connecting with people and holding space for them. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not just going up to all my hair clients like, you want to talk about dead people? You want to talk about spirituality? Do you want a reading? Do you want to know what's in your Akashic records? Like, it's that interesting, like, in this part of my world, this part of me is more front facing. In this part of my world, this part of me is more front facing. And I'm still trying to mend and mold my life and shape it in a way, and just connect with the right people where I can be all of me. So I'm definitely on that journey with a lot of the listeners as well.
Kelsey, that's awesome. And I'll share with you my own personal practice because I feel this. I'm in Chicago right now. When we're in Chicago, we stay at my parents' house. It feels so good. My inner child is like I just get to hang out with my mom and like go for the walks that I went on when I was a kid. And we live by a park and it's so cozy. And I run into the neighbors and we talk about like the weather, like nothing that transformational. And oh God, it feels so good. And I always have to leave. Like I always have to, it always has like kind of reaches its point, but I'll share with you what works for me because that's like when I'm in Austin, I am Erin Rachel Doppelt, spiritual psychology and meditation teacher, best-selling author. Like it's just like different personas that we come into. And I got tired of that. Like, who am I today? I'm also a Gemini, and there's a little bit of a chameleon effect. I do think the chameleon effect is big for actually like so many, because we choose belonging over authenticity. So a lot of us can chameleon. I think it's actually a really positive trait. It's how we survive, right? Is it safe? Am I going to get burned at the stake for being a witch? Things like this to meditate on. And so what I do is before I walk into the door, or even like when I wake up in the morning and before I come into the kitchen to greet my family, or if I'm speaking and meeting new people or on retreat, whatever, or on a podcast, like whatever the world is that I'm embracing, I walk in and say, I am the light. I am the light. How would the light express herself today? And I typically you come from your loving, you come well fed. I'm not talking food, but like you come well fed physically, emotionally, spiritually, like in every aspect of your life. You glow so hard that the person opposite you, it's as if like they have to put on sunglasses just to embrace it, right? So if I feel this good and if I'm coming in with such a good space, with love, with intention, with goodness, because I want that for myself. That's how I want people to greet me. Then I can just trust that I'm going to show up as my most authentic self. So I am the love. I am the light. I'm going to just bestow that on whoever I am opposite. And then parking spots appear. Emails with like amazing opportunities appear. DMs on social media appear. Connecting with like-minded women that feel so good to be around appear. Healthy intimacy with your romantic partner, a good microbiome for yourself and for your family. It has such a huge ripple effect. And just trusting that whatever comes through when you are embodying the goodness, the love, the light, the authenticity, that's what's going to shine.
Great.
Guys, what a good, simple intention for every day. We like to overcomplicate things. I love to overcomplicate things.
Don't drag me into your overcomplicating.
No, I say we as people. Kelsey is not included in the people, but we as people tend to overcomplicate things. And I'm like masterclass. But I wake up every morning and I'm like, okay, what should I intend for? How should I? Dude, just be the light. And it's so easy. Like we are naturally anyway. But when you're waking up and like acknowledging, it's almost not even like an intention. It's like a remembering. It's like, oh yeah, I am the light. It's cool. We're good.
In Kabbalah and Jewish mysticism, there is the word neshama, and it translates into like the soul's light. So when you're going out into the world, it's as if you are greeting people with your most authentic soul. Right? So when you're saying like, I embrace you, like neshama sheli, like great light of mine, great soul of mine, or like in connection to my light, I greet you. So it's a deeper way of kind of just remembering that we are souls bopping around in a human meat suit. And I'm just going to embrace you with what I agreed with God, with a higher power as to why I am here this time around. So I'm going to greet you as like a pure soul. I am the light.
That gave me goosebumps when you said it.
That's so good. Yeah, Kelsey's really big on the like, don't forget we're all connected. We're all a drop in the ocean. And we need to remember that. You are me, I am you.
Yeah. My friend Kathy Heller talks about how like you're not just someone, you're some of the one. And it reminds us of the yi.
I like that.
Yeah, it's powerful.
So good. I feel like this is a good time to segue into the Patreon. Just keep the party going over there. For anyone who's not in our Patreon, it's basically where we give you extended video versions of every episode. We do hangouts in there quarterly now. We're about to beef it up with some more bonuses and stuff. And it's just like our little community space on the internet besides here, where we can actually comment and interact with each other, and we don't have to just talk at you guys, or we can actually have a conversation with you guys. So join us over there. The link is always in the show notes. But before we sign off, Erin, please just let everyone know where they can purchase your book. Obviously, I'm going to link to it in the show notes, how they can connect with you, work with you, come on your retreats.
Yay. Thank you. Yeah, I am Erin Rachel Doppelt. My book is Nothing Can Stop You, A Revolutionary Guide to Unleash Your Authentic Self. Everywhere books are sold. It has been on sale on Amazon, so definitely go check that out. May it serve you. I do have a 6-month program that when this episode comes out, it will be out into the world. It's called Nourish Tuscany. It's a 6-month group coaching program with me and some of my incredible friends that educate on psychology and spirituality. And then we meet for 5 days in gorgeous, delicious, amazing Tuscany, Italy in May. I'm so excited about it. When I was early on postpartum, all I could think about was just like eating pizza and pasta in Italy. So I'm excited to bring you all there. And I'm best known for the Aligned Coaching certification, where you become a certified meditation teacher and spiritual psychology coach. It is a life-giving, transformational, all-encompassing 9-month program. We've ran it many, many times. It's wow. It's incredibly wow. So definitely head to my website, erinracheldoppelt.com, and then hang out with me on Instagram at Erin R. Doppelt, ERINR Doppelt, and just DM me. Let me know that you heard this episode. Let me know what resonates with you. It's me in my DM. So I'll say, hey, and we can connect in real life, because I agree. It's not just talking at you. I want to dive deep. I want to have these conversations. It's so essential.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, sharing your light, sharing your wisdom, sharing your time, your energy. I think this was so helpful for so many people and very timely, as the episodes always are. So as you go into your Christmas dinner in a few days, if you celebrate Christmas or whatever family stuff you'll be doing at the end of the year, keep this in mind. So maybe you don't have to get as worked up or as triggered, and just love people on their soul level, and everything's going to be great. So thanks, Erin. Well, we'll see you over on the Patreon. Lindsay, any announcements before we head over there?
Just want to remind everybody, all listeners of High Vibe and get 10% off inside my membership, which I was going to say, but I didn't. Thank you for the invitation to speak, because I just today, before we started recording this podcast, recorded an audio for the membership called Reclaiming Your Inner Peace. And it'll be up there. I swear to God, it'll be up there later today. So if anybody wants to join, actually today, it'll already be in there by the time this airs, but go join it, go get it, go get your peace back and listen to this podcast. Join Erin. I'm definitely so excited to finish reading the book and get all the goodness. Reclaim your peace, people. We need it now more than ever.